Listen, this might hit harder than you expect. A woman doesn't choose an older man just because he's older. She chooses him because she believes he's different. But here's the truth most men don't see. The moment she feels drawn to you, she's already testing you, not with games, not with words, but with two silent questions that will decide everything. And if you fail them, it won't matter how confident you look, how much money you have, or how smooth you talk. Because in her eyes, you're not a man of value. You're just an older version of the same boy she's trying to avoid. First question, can you lead without controlling? Let me slow this down for you, because this right here, this is where most men lose before they even realize they're in the game. A woman who is drawn to an older man is not looking for someone to rule over her life. She's not signing up to be managed, monitored, or molded into something she's not. No, she's already lived, she's already learned, and she already knows her worth. So when she looks at you, she's asking one thing: can this man guide me without trying to own me? And that's a powerful question, because there's a thin line, a very thin line between leadership and control. And if you don't understand the difference, you'll cross it without even noticing. See, controlling men operate from fear. They think, if I don't stay on top of everything, I'll lose her. If I don't tell her what to do, she'll do something wrong. If I don't limit her, someone else will take her. That's insecurity talking. That's a man trying to grip something so tight he ends up suffocating it. But a man who knows how to lead, he operates from confidence. He understands that leadership is not about force, it's about influence. It's about being so clear in your direction, so grounded in your decisions, that a woman naturally trusts where you're going. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to demand obedience. You don't have to control her every move, because your presence alone says, I know the way. Now let me tell you something real. A woman doesn't resist leadership. She resists control disguised as leadership. There's a difference. Control says, you can't go there. Leadership says, I don't think that environment aligns with where we're going. Control says, do it my way or else. Leadership says, here's a better way and here's why. Control shuts her down. Leadership builds her up. And when a woman feels like she can still be herself, still have a voice, still have freedom, but also feels guided, protected, and considered, that's when something powerful happens. She relaxes, she softens, she leans into you, not because she has to, but because she wants to. And that's the key right there. You never want a woman to follow you because she feels forced. You want her to follow you because she trusts you. Trust is earned through consistency. It's built when your actions match your words, when you stay calm under pressure, when you make decisions not just for yourself, but for the greater good of both of you. That's leadership. Now, don't get it twisted. Being a leader doesn't mean you always have to be right. It doesn't mean you ignore her opinions. It doesn't mean you dismiss her ideas. A strong man listens. He pays attention. He values her perspective because he understands that leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about being wise enough to consider the right ones. And sometimes the best decision comes when you bring both minds together. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you secure. But here's where it gets real. If every time she challenges you, you get defensive, if every time she expresses herself, you try to shut it down, if every disagreement turns into a power struggle, then you're not leading, you're controlling. And control will always push a high-value woman away because she didn't choose an older man to feel smaller. She chose him to feel safer, wiser, and more aligned. So if you want to pass this test, you've got to check your ego at the door. You've got to understand that real power is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It doesn't force. It simply stands firm, speaks clearly, and moves with purpose. That's the kind of man a woman can trust. That's the kind of man she respects. And at the end of the day, respect will take you further than control ever could. Second question, are you emotionally stable or just experienced? Now, this right here, this is where the truth shows up, because a lot of men think that just because they've lived longer, they've grown deeper. Let me tell you something straight. Time doesn't heal a man, work does. You can be 25 with wisdom or 45 with wounds you never faced. And when a woman is drawn to an older man, she's not impressed by how many years you've survived. She's watching to see how well you've processed them. So the real question she's asking is, are you calm because you've mastered yourself, or are you calm because nothing has tested you yet? That's different. Because emotional stability isn't about acting cool when everything is going your way. It's about who you become when life puts pressure on you, when plans fall apart, when she disagrees with you, when something doesn't go your way. That's when your truth comes out. See, an experienced man might say, I've been through a lot, but an emotionally stable man shows, I've learned from a lot. Big difference. One carries stories, the other carries growth. Now pay attention. A woman who desires an older man expects a certain level of emotional control, not perfection, but control. She's not expecting you to never get upset. She's not expecting you to never feel anything, but she is expecting that you don't let your emotions control your behavior. Because nothing breaks attraction faster than a man who can't manage himself. If you get angry over small things, if you shut down instead of communicating, if you react before you think, then all your years don't mean a thing, because now she sees it clearly. You're older, but you're not grounded. And once that image breaks, it's hard to rebuild. Now let's go deeper. Emotional stability shows up in the little moments. It's how you respond when she challenges you. Do you listen or do you get defensive? It's how you handle stress. Do you stay centered or do you bring chaos into the room? It's how you communicate when something bothers you. Do you express it clearly or do you explode later? Because a stable man doesn't avoid emotions. He understands them. He knows when to speak. He knows when to pause. He knows when to step back and say, let me not react. I want to respond the right way. That's power. That's discipline. And that's what separates a man who has just lived from a man who has actually grown through it. Now, here's something most people won't tell you. A woman feels safest with a man whose emotions are predictable in a healthy way. Not boring, not cold, but consistent. She knows you're not going to flip on her. She knows you're not going to turn every disagreement into drama. She knows that even in hard moments, you're still the same man. That creates peace. And peace, that's rare. Because a lot of people out here are carrying unhealed pain into new relationships. They say they want love, but they haven't cleaned up the damage from their past. And it shows in their reactions, in their trust issues, in their communication. So when she's looking at you, she's asking, did life make you better or just bitter? Because if you're still holding on to past hurt, still blaming old situations, still reacting like your history is happening all over again, then you're not emotionally stable. You're just experienced in pain, and that's dangerous because now you're bringing yesterday's problems into today's relationship. But a man who has done the work, he's different. He doesn't let his past control his present. He doesn't punish new people for old mistakes. He moves with clarity. He communicates with intention. He handles situations with a level of calm that says, I've seen storms before. This doesn't shake me. And that right there, that's what makes a woman feel secure. Not your money, not your age, not your words, your emotional discipline. So if you want to pass this test, stop thinking your experience is enough. Ask yourself, did I grow from what I went through, or did I just survive it? Because survival alone doesn't make you strong. Self-awareness does. And when you combine that awareness with control, maturity, and accountability, now you're not just an older man. You're a man she can trust with her peace. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. A woman who desires an older man isn't chasing age. She's seeking alignment, stability, and purpose. She's quietly asking, can you lead with confidence without trying to control me? And have you truly grown, or are you just carrying years without wisdom? Because real value isn't in how long you've lived, it's in how well you've mastered yourself. If you can guide with clarity while respecting her voice and remain emotionally grounded, when life gets challenging, you become more than just attractive, you become irreplaceable. But if you lack discipline, emotional control, or self-awareness, then age becomes meaningless. So step into who you're supposed to be, lead with purpose, stay calm under pressure, grow from your past, because when you pass these two tests, you don't just gain her attention, you earn her trust, respect, and loyalty.